Hello and welcome to this episode of Death by Bungee on the road. I am in Maryland. Those of you following on the Facebook page, those of you following on my attempted live streams on the YouTube channel, and I even did one on the Facebook page, know that I'm down here in Maryland. Know that I have had so far a very successful trip. The weather is not cooperating today. It's Sunday, so there's no hunting in this early part of the crossbow season. However, it is raining so bad that I wouldn't be going out anyway. I do have a couple of agricultural tags, so technically I could legally be out there hunting if the opportunity presented itself. But with the weather the way it is, I am not going to go out there and chase any more does and subject my camera gear, my crossbow, anything like that to this weather. I've already had success 3 times, already shot 3 does. I will be doing videos about those. Very excited to release all that footage. Very excited to tell those stories and upload those videos here to YouTube. I just don't have time to do that while I'm in Maryland. Real limit on what I can do. I brought a laptop with me, and this place, there is gear scattered everywhere in this hotel room. And I got stuff all over the place. But I just don't have the time to do all the editing. I've got to rest because I'm getting up so early. I've got to rest because I'm going to bed so late. And I'm taking naps in my free time. And frankly, this hotel, the outlets don't all work. So I can't even charge my batteries on my gear as much as I would like. That brings me to a very interesting point, however. I am going to do this as a sort of a mini review, a preliminary review of the TACTACAM 5.0 that I purchased for this trip. The TACTACAM 5.0, I have it right here. It comes with a handy little mount. I like this one. It mounts right on the Picatinny rail. You can mount it right on a crossbow. Just make sure it's level, set it on here. And it looks great. It looks like pretty tactical gear. It looks appropriate. The purpose of this video is to tell you a little bit about that, but also to show you some of the pluses and minuses now that I've used it on several hunts while I'm down here. Now that I've got a little bit of experience hunting with this, and I can tell you what I like about it and what I don't. First off, let's start with what I like about it. Ease of operation. That is where TACTACAM shines. This thing, you can do a lot of fancy stuff with it if you want. I think this is wireless built-in where you can actually upload it and do Facebook Live with your footage. I don't do any of that stuff. This thing is pretty cool in terms of its simplicity. You push a button and it lights up and it vibrates and lets you know that it's recording, and the little light blinks and it starts recording. When you're done, you hold the button down until it shuts off, and it shuts off. You preset the modes. Didn't take me long looking at the manual. The manual is just a page and a half. Look through there and you take the little cap off the back, and you can sort of go through the manual and you can tell what mode you are shooting in. It has 3 modes. There's some fancier modes if you want, but basically you can shoot in 4K, you can shoot in zoomed in footage, or what I like, they refer to as slow-mo. Really, it's not slow motion, it's just 60 frames per second, but it's 1080p, so it's HD quality. It'll mix well with my DSLR footage, hopefully. It'll mix well with the GoPro footage, mix well with other footage that I use and pictures that I use in my videos. But I can slow it down a little bit and it won't get all, stuttery, because it'll have smoother slow motion because there's 60 frames per second. In that cap, there is a little card slot. It doesn't come with a memory card, I don't think. I think I had to add one of my memory cards, but that's fine. I had an extra one. And this is a 64 gigabyte. Should be more than enough for this. You do want one of the faster ones. It says you want a U3. If you look, there's a little U with a 3 in it. This is actually a U1, but it still appears to be recording properly every time that I've recorded with it. Take that little cap off. You can also charge it through the back here. It's really self-explanatory. Bring it back to the hotel, and if you can find an outlet that works, plug it in there. In the future, when I travel, I will be bringing zip strips with me so that I can charge and plug in multiple devices, because I'm rotating out phone batteries and everything, trying to keep stuff charged. It mounts on the Picatinny rail, like I said, with this little mount. Now, if you mount it on there properly, it is offset, it is off to the right, but it's a unique perspective. You've seen in previous Death by Bungee videos, we always had the GoPro mounted on top, off the top of the crossbow scope, angling forward, right over the arrow, right down the middle of the stream of action. But mounted off to the side does give it a unique perspective, and as long as you get it set right inside the mounting bracket, it'll be straight up and down. You've got the limb of the crossbow. It does give you sort of a unique perspective. It'll work very well for what I like to call the bungee cam. The quality of the footage is not bad. Now, it's not going to be as good as the DSLR. It's not as good as a higher end video camera, anything like that. It will not replace those if you're used to using those things. But it is nice footage, especially because it's zoomed in. This is the TACTACAM 5.0. It's zoomed in. It has an 8x zoom, I believe, on it. So basically, it's just a longer lens. It is similar to having a longer lens on a DSLR. It's going to have a zoomed in effect. It's not a digital zoom. It's not enhanced in using software or anything like that. So it's an optical zoom, I believe, and for that reason, that zoomed in look does allow it to maintain a good picture quality, even though it's kind of zoomed in. It looks good to me when you put it on the screen. I have not mixed it in with other video footage. I haven't released any videos with that yet, but I'll put some of this footage on the screen. It does look pretty good. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. Now, for some of the bad things about it that I'm not as impressed with about it, some of this can't be helped. And the first thing is the quality of the footage in low light. Now, TACTACAM touts that this is a better low light sensor, but you got to remember that you got a sensor that's fitting inside this little tube. The sensor on this thing is not very big. It cannot absorb, it cannot manipulate, it cannot use very much light. It cannot preserve good footage in low light. Just the way it is. They can enhance it with software, they can enhance it other ways, but the reality is low light kind of stinks on this. Now, that's most cameras. If you've ever tried to take low light pictures with your cell phone, it's a pain in the neck. Even my DSLR, where I can get a 1.4 aperture with a giant lens like that, did a video about that. In this lens, I'm shooting really low light here. I've got the bathroom light coming at me this way in this hotel room, and the lights in the background, they do them next to nothing, those lamps. They're just there for ambiance. They're there for bokeh, to make the picture look pretty, right? But the reality is this will not compete with that whatsoever. You cannot get quality low light footage with this little gadget. Once the sun starts going down, once you're in the trees and it gets darker and darker, you're just not going to have great footage. It's going to break up. It's going to be grainy pretty fast. But it's still better than nothing. The other thing I don't like about this camera is really has to do with the mount, is this Picatinny rail mount. Now, it does come with a mount if you buy the Hunter package, the rifle package. It does come with a mount for a scope where you can mount on the scope, but I kind of wanted to get away from that now that I'm not using the GoPro. I'd always used a handlebar mount and mounted it to the scope. I have a newer scope, a bigger scope, and I've never felt comfortable mounting something on the scope itself. You could be affecting your scope the more times you monkey around with mounting things and taking things off of it. It might be one thing if I just mounted it on there and left it on there, but the fact that you're putting it on, taking it off, I want to make sure that that scope stays put. For that reason, I wanted a rail mount, a Picatinny rail mount, and I'm happy with the way this looks on there. But the problem with the Picatinny rail mount is that it uses very cheap steel. And in my limited experience with this little guy, the screw that goes in and out of there, first of all, it's going to be one of those things that's black and you're going to lose it in the field. I think it's a matter of time before this comes out when I go to attach this in the field and lose it. I haven't been lucky so far and haven't done that. But you can see, even though this is almost brand new, the little mount here, it's kind of cheap steel and cheap metal. And it just feels like it's not going to last. These things, it keeps wanting to go in there sideways and it keeps wearing the threads a little bit funny and it just doesn't... I don't know. It's not great. It's not bad. It hasn't failed me yet. But every time that I mount it on there, it is kind of a hassle to get it set up and get it in place on the Picatinny rail. And then once it's in place, I've noticed sometimes it will sit a little cockeyed and drop down a little bit. So you have to be very careful to make sure the mount is level the way you want it. It is a little bit offset. If you look at the back of it, you'll see that the tube of the camera itself actually sits off at an angle because it's sort of slanted the way that this mounts on here. And that's fine. That's to be expected because doing it this way, the scope's up on top and you can still get your Allen wrenches in here to adjust that if you needed to. But it still is kind of clumsy to get this in and out of there. Well, that's about it for this preliminary review of the TACTACAM 5.0. If you have any questions, please post them below and I'll see if I can answer them for you. I will be doing a video down the road, a more thorough review talking about how to hook up the on-off remote control for this because it would allow you, if that were to work, to set another one of these up, maybe one with a wider angle of view off to the side and use it as sort of a field cam, that second camera angle like I like to use on my videos. I'll be doing another video about that down the road to see if that works. But I wanted, while I'm sitting here killing time in this hotel room, wanted to do something productive, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the Facebook page for up-to-date pictures and all kinds of fun stuff that's going on my hunts while I'm in Maryland or anywhere else, whatever I'm doing in terms of this crossbow-related lifestyle. Check out those videos. Check out the Facebook page. And until next time, all hail Bungie!